Hi, this is Zach Semke with Passive House Accelerator, and thanks for tuning in to this special bonus episode of the Passive House podcast, recorded at Passive House Network's 2023 conference in Denver, Colorado. And a big thank you to EnerSign for the support of the series. The interview you're about to hear was hosted by Mary James, our Director of Publications and co-host of the Passive House podcast.
Welcome, Andrew Michler, to the Passive House podcast.
Thank you.
Can you just tell us what you do and what your company is?
I run a little teeny bespoke architecture design firm called Hyperlocal Workshop, and there's three of us working on various continents. So we all work at home, and we have about maybe 10 Passive House projects in design now, and 2 in construction, and 1 just about finished at the moment. So all single family at the moment.
The 2 that are in construction, are they both in Colorado where you're based?
No, 1's in New York and 1 is in Colorado Springs. And we're about to break ground for another one as well in Colorado. So I'd say most of them are in Colorado and then 1 in New York.
And I understand that you've been working on a project with Bronwyn Berry. Can you tell us a little bit about the basics of that project?
Yeah, so that in Colorado Springs, I had a client call and they bought this beautiful piece of property overlooking Pikes Peak. So it's right near the Garden of the Gods, which is this magnificent park, just a block up from it. So it's just this really very, very mountainous-oriented space in an old kind of funky neighborhood. So they're building themselves. So the owners. So what they did was it's essentially a duplex. So like they pooled the money between the parents and the daughter and her husband. So that's how they were able to afford building it. And they needed, she loved Passive House. The person contacted me and she took the builder's training and she was totally obsessed with Passive House and design and things like that. So that really kind of helped us have somebody who was willing to continuously learn through the process and own the process on their side. So that was great. But what wasn't great was they never built anything before this size. They have only done retrofits. So they ended up learning a lot of lessons about building on a hillside, finding contractors for concrete, things like that. And then we decided early on that we wanted to propose to do this as a panelized project because you had beams and pretty tall walls, lots of insulation. I think it would just kill them trying to do this themselves. So we worked with Collective Carpentry in Vermont, BC, and developed panels with them and brought them down on site. And I think it took about 4 days to get the building wrapped up on site, and that was fun.
And how was the process for you as a designer of working with panelization? Was this your first time doing that? Yeah. It's
pretty nerve-wracking because you can't really change things, on site. You kind of get used to that for the change orders, after construction documents. So the coordination there's a lot more coordination. And of course, now you're creating another set of drawings for the panels. So there's another layer of things to happen and to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Collective was really concerned about some of these angles and making the angles fit. So they put in 1 inch tolerance to the panels where there's some interesting angles to get the view, but still be south facing, not west facing. Those kind of challenges architecturally we had to deal with. And we ended up with a 1 inch gap on site. So there's everything to my happiness was worked
exactly
out
as predicted.
Yeah, exactly as predicted. And we just met with Collective a couple of days ago at the project and talked with the owners and talked about how happy they were. And I'll follow up with the Collective about some things that we'd like to coordinate with them more on. So I just talked to their lead architect last night. And so that interaction was really helpful. on the design side to understand how to integrate our process with their process.
And now that you've been through the process with a panelization company, do you feel like this is an approach you would recommend to clients for future projects, or were there specific aspects of this project that?
Yeah, I'd say we're doing almost all our projects as panels, and a big part of that is that we're doing them up in the mountains, and it's hard to find crews up in the mountains who can do something like this, and the management of the airtightness and the weatherization process is sometimes a little more big ask for crews. And we're looking at, I have another project that's with EcoCocon, which is a panel that's made in Europe, and it's made from straw. So we're just about done with structures with that, and now we just started the coordination phase in earnest with EcoCocon on developing those panels for the house. That's up in the mountains. And
I'm sure EcoCocon must be excited, because I know I've heard about obviously they've been around in Europe for quite a while, at least 10 years, right?
Yeah, I think 10 years is about right.
And but I haven't heard of any projects in the United States.
I think there's 4 now, 3 that are built, and there's a big one. There's like a 4,000 square foot monastery that's in construction now. So the idea is to, for EcoCocon, they're very serious about developing U.S. production. And a big part of what their push is to the carbon side of it, like a no-till farming for the product, for the raw product, for straw, things like that. So they can actually provide a carbon sink material asset for us in the building, which is pretty amazing. And their process is really slick. I've known the person who developed it, Bjorn Kirov, for a long time, and spent time with him in Slovakia and been to a lot of his projects. And they're just absolutely very visceral. The panels themselves are beautiful. They're finished in clay plasters. So these are very, very elegant buildings. And I collaborated with EcoCocon to design a 8-story tower multifamily in Los Angeles a couple of years ago.
Is that going to happen?
Well, that was for Venice Architecture Biennale. So it was a proof of concept about passive house, multifamily, all these other issues, but it's really about the carbon question and how buildings speak directly to the carbon issues, both socially, economically, and also physically. So we're looking at passive house certification, passive house plus passive house premium certification. So PHI helped me consult on that. They consulted on that part, and then we did a carbon calculation of the building as well, full building carbon calculation. So it was just a way to see, does this really work? Because it takes a long time to do that, and to kind of publicly talk about and display it. So that would be fantastic to kind of push those boundaries, because EcoCocon can go up to about 4 stories. And then so we put it on a mass timber podium. We worked with another company that makes Ligno lock. It's a wooden nail. They have a wooden nail, and they developed this entire wooden nail panelization system. So those are the 2 people who helped with that. So all offsite, it's all emerging, but also now kind of shovel ready products and technologies and systems. So.
And it's exciting to have a wide choice of panel options to pick from when you're.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just at the Be Public factory, and I live part-time in Santa Fe, in Be Public space in Santa Fe, and they've been friends of mine for quite a while, 12 years or so. And to go to the factory in Las Vegas and to see how streamlined and simplified they've got the process down. So, like, they have control of costs and complexity, and all those things are really well integrated because of John Stanford's experience over the years of being a passive house architect and thinking like that. And so I'm excited to see if one of our projects will work for Be Public that's just maybe 4 hours north of near West Cliff, Colorado. We have a great project there. And then we have 2 other panelized projects One is in Crested Butte, another in Golden as well. So, and everybody loves it. But we looked at passive house panelizations for a fire rebuild for the restored passive house, and the lots were, we needed a different wall system, honestly, that that needs to be a little bit thinner, that we need a little bit more control on site with. So we weren't able to panelize those types just due to law constraints. So there's definitely limits to panelization right now at certain times, and there's definitely a cost premium. So you're getting quality assurance and you're getting speed on the fabrication side, but on the other side, you're definitely paying more for that if that's something where you have local crews who are experienced in stick framing. So
right, which is a big if.
Yeah.
As you said, when you're building up in the mountains, you can't necessarily find the crews that have the experience to build what you want. Truck after I've done my passive house and other neighbors' passive house, and truck after truck for months on end, slogging up through the wintertime, all those trips, lumber getting wet, nobody knows what they're doing on site. So the QA process is hard to manage unless you're working with an experienced company. It can really wear people down. And there's times, I'm sure, where projects didn't get certification just simply because of logistics issues, nothing technical, nothing like that. So, well, you certainly sound like you have your hands full for 2024.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's really neat to see it really take off organically in Colorado. And I've been saying this for a long time. That Colorado is New Mexico is just a fabulous place because of all the sunshine, and we have these really cold nights, sometimes warm days. So we have all the conditions of passive house modeling working really well. So now it's just kind of executing it, and having this conference will be interesting to see what comes out of it as people's motivation to go big with this, So that'll be the big conversation for next year, I hope.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming by and talking.
Yeah, my pleasure.